morning, I'm Agustín Zepeda for NewZtar Intelligence. Here is your global briefing for Wednesday, May 27, 2026. The United States and Iran are in active negotiations following recent military confrontation, but President Trump says he is not satisfied with current deal terms. Trump has publicly stated Iran is negotiating on fumes, and the U.S. is offering no sanctions relief at this time. Iranian officials express cautious optimism, citing a low possibility of return to war, but here is where the coverage diverges. American media emphasizes Trump creating confusion with contradictory social media posts, while Russian media presents a more coherent diplomatic narrative and minimal coverage overall. Asian outlets characterize Iranian statements as conciliatory, while some American outlets frame them as threatening. Israeli air operations are actively occurring over southern Lebanon, as a previously discussed ceasefire has faltered. Lebanese civilians are resigning themselves to prolonged conflict as the operations continue. This escalation is connected to but distinct from the U.S. Iran negotiations. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media emphasizes humanitarian impact and civilian suffering, framing this as active Israeli aggression. Israeli outlets downplay Lebanon operations in headlines and instead focus on defensive capabilities and military readiness stories. Middle Eastern media provides minimal direct coverage despite the regional significance. Fox News and Dominion voting systems have reached a settlement in their defamation case. Fox News issued a statement acknowledging that some on-air claims about Dominion were false. The settlement was announced by the judge, and Dominion still has pending lawsuits against other individuals including Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media outside Fox News prominently features this as a major accountability story, with critical analysis of Fox's credibility. Fox News itself completely omits the story from its top headlines. European and Asian outlets provide no coverage, treating this as purely domestic American media news. Texas is holding primary runoff elections today that will determine key Republican candidates for November. These races are being closely watched as indicators of party direction and Trump influence within the GOP. Results will shape the political landscape heading into the general election cycle. But here is where the coverage diverges. American media treats this as a nationally significant story that will shape the Republican Party's future direction. International outlets, including European, Russian, and Chinese media, provide essentially no coverage, viewing Texas primary runoffs as purely domestic political minutiae with no global implications. Canada has chosen Swedish defense systems over U.S. alternatives in a significant procurement decision. This represents a notable shift in Canadian defense acquisition strategy and reflects growing geopolitical realignment. The decision signals diversification away from traditional U.S. military equipment dependency. But here is where the coverage diverges. European outlets frame this as reasonable diversification and smart procurement strategy by Canada. American media provides minimal coverage and does not emphasize potential implications for U.S. defense industry or allied relationships. Russian media highlights this as evidence of declining American influence among traditional partners. Russia and Ukraine continue diplomatic negotiations through exchanges of formal memoranda. The talks represent ongoing efforts to find diplomatic resolution despite continued tensions. Both sides are exchanging proposals, though significant gaps remain between positions. But here is where the coverage diverges. Russian media frames the memoranda exchanges as productive diplomatic engagement, with Western obstruction preventing resolution. American and European outlets express deep skepticism about Russian sincerity, emphasizing continued military positioning and viewing talks as potential cover for strategic regrouping rather than genuine peace efforts. That is your NewZtar Intelligence briefing for Wednesday, May 27, 2026. News in every angle, Every morning, I'm Agustín Zepeda, stay informed.